No one ever warned me that the noise wouldn't stop, even after success, even after retirement, until I learned silence isn't empty. It's where life finally speaks. I'm not speaking to you as a teacher. I'm speaking as a man who spent most of his life chasing noise. I chased achievement, schedules, deadlines, expectations. Even when I was supposed to be resting, my mind was still loud. By my late 50s, I realized something painful. I didn't know how to be quiet anymore, not just outside, inside. If you're between 40 and 70, there's a chance this sounds familiar. You did what you were supposed to do. You worked hard, you showed up, you carried responsibility on your shoulders for years, maybe decades. And yet, somewhere along the way, peace slipped quietly out the back door. For most of my life, I thought noise meant progress, a full calendar meant purpose. Silence felt dangerous, like wasted time. Even on vacations, my body was in one place while my thoughts were still running 3 steps ahead. I told myself this was ambition. In truth, it was fear. Fear of slowing down, fear of becoming invisible, fear of asking the question, what happens when I stop? The first time I truly noticed how tired I was, nothing dramatic happened. No breakdown, no crisis. Just a quiet Sunday morning. I sat alone at the kitchen table, coffee growing cold in my hands, and realized my mind wouldn't settle for even a minute. It kept replaying old conversations, future worries, unfinished tasks. That's when it hit me. I had spent years learning how to do more, but never how to be still. Many of us weren't taught how to age with grace. We were taught how to stay productive, how to stay useful, how to keep proving our worth. But here's a truth I had to learn the slow way. Your value doesn't disappear when your pace changes. Life doesn't end when you stop running. Sometimes that's when it finally begins to speak to you. I started small, painfully small. 5 quiet minutes in the morning without my phone. A walk with no destination, sitting on the porch in the evening, listening instead of thinking. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Silence has a way of bringing up everything we've been avoiding: regrets, grief, questions we never had time to answer. But slowly, very slowly, something shifted. The noise didn't vanish overnight. It softened. I began to notice simple things again, the way light moves across a room, the sound of wind through trees, the calm that comes from not needing to be anywhere else. These moments didn't make my life exciting, they made it real. What I've learned is this: peace isn't something you find by chasing happiness. Happiness comes and goes. Peace is what remains when you stop fighting time. It's built through acceptance of aging, of limits, of the life you actually have, not the one you imagined years ago. For those of us growing older, modern life sends a confusing message. Stay young, stay relevant, stay busy. But wisdom whispers something different. Slow down, let go, choose what truly matters. A peaceful life isn't about shrinking your world. It's about clearing space so the right things can breathe. If you're retired, stressed, or simply worn down by the speed of everything, let me offer you this reassurance. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're waking up. This stage of life isn't meant to be loud. It's meant to be honest. You don't need to master meditation or change who you are. Start by giving yourself permission to pause, to sit without fixing anything, to listen to your own breath, to accept that growing older doesn't mean fading away. It means seeing more clearly. I still don't have all the answers, but I've learned how to sit with myself again. And that, more than any achievement, has brought me peace. If this story feels familiar, maybe life is gently inviting you to do the same, not all at once, just one quiet moment at a time. I first noticed it in Japan, not the kind of silence you fear, but the kind that welcomes you. An elderly man sweeping the same path every morning, no headphones, no rush, just the sound of the broom and breathing. In a small tea garden, I saw people sitting without speaking, not awkward, not lonely, peaceful. That's when it hit me. In Japan, silence isn't avoidance, it's a way of living. I'm telling you this as someone who didn't always understand the value of quiet. For most of my life, silence made me uncomfortable. I filled it with noise, television, radio, conversations that went nowhere, a calendar packed so tight it barely let me breathe. Like many of us, I believed a full life had to look busy, loud, productive, important. By the time I reached my late 40s, I was exhausted in a way I couldn't explain. I had done what I was supposed to do, worked hard, built a family, paid the bills, planned for the future, and yet something felt off. Even during moments that were meant to be restful, my mind stayed restless. I wasn't unhappy, just constantly tired. Traveling to Japan wasn't meant to be a life lesson, it was just a change of scenery. But somewhere between quiet streets and slow mornings, I began to notice how differently older people moved through the world there. They didn't rush, they didn't seem anxious about time slipping away. They walked slowly, stood patiently, and treated small routines with surprising care. One morning, I watched an elderly woman carefully wipe down the front of her shop. She had likely done it thousands of times before. There was no audience, no reward, just presence. That simple act stayed with me longer than any sightseeing ever did. It made me realize how often we rush through our days without truly being in them. We eat while scrolling, we listen while waiting to speak, we rest while feeling guilty. Somewhere along the way, we forgot how to simply exist without needing to justify it. In Japan, growing older isn't treated like a problem to fix. It's seen as a stage of life meant for refinement. Fewer words, fewer distractions, more meaning. Elders aren't expected to prove themselves anymore. They're allowed to be. That idea hit me hard. Back home, we're taught to chase happiness, buy it, achieve it, display it. We measure our lives by milestones and outcomes. But happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes. Peace, on the other hand, is something you can practice, something you can return to even on ordinary days. I began to ask myself a difficult question. When was the last time I allowed myself to be still without feeling lazy or unproductive? The honest answer was, I couldn't remember. So I started small, no dramatic changes. I stopped filling every quiet moment. I let mornings be slow. I drank my coffee without distractions. I took walks without a destination. At first, it felt strange, almost uncomfortable. But slowly, something shifted. I realized my life didn't need more excitement. It needed more space. Space to breathe. Space to think. Space to feel what I've been pushing aside for years. As we get older, whether we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, the world doesn't slow down for us. Technology moves faster, expectations don't disappear, but we get to choose how we respond. We get to decide what deserves our energy. The Japanese elders I observed weren't chasing happiness, they were cultivating peace through routine, through simplicity, through acceptance of time instead of resistance to it. And here's the part I really want you to hear. You don't need to become someone else to find that peace. You don't need to move across the world or adopt a new philosophy overnight. You only need to give yourself permission to slow down, to stop proving, to stop rushing, to stop treating rest like something you must earn. If you're retired, overwhelmed, or simply tired of the noise of modern life, know this: you are not falling behind. You're arriving at a stage where less truly can be more, where quiet isn't empty, where aging doesn't mean fading, but softening into what matters. That elderly man sweeping the same path every morning wasn't wasting time, he was honoring it. And maybe that's the lesson we've all been waiting to remember. You don't have to chase happiness anymore. You can choose peace, gently, deliberately, one quiet moment at a time. In the West, we fill every gap. Music, news, talking, thinking. We keep something playing, something scrolling, something demanding our attention, as if silence itself were a problem to be solved. In Japan, silence has a role. They call it ma, the space between things, the pause and conversation, the stillness before action, the quiet that gives meaning to sound. Older Japanese don't fear silence as they age. They lean into it, because silence doesn't demand anything from you. I didn't understand this for most of my life. I grew up believing that a full life meant a loud one: busy days, packed schedules, constant movement. If there was a quiet moment, I felt the urge to fill it, turn on the TV, check my phone, start a conversation, make a plan. Silence felt uncomfortable, almost suspicious, like I should be doing something more productive with my time. Years went by like that. Work, responsibilities, expectations. Even when I reached milestones I once dreamed of, the noise didn't stop, and neither did the tiredness. Not the kind that sleep fixes, but the deeper kind that settles into your bones. It wasn't until later in life, when the pace naturally slowed, that silence finally found me. At first, I resisted it. Retirement, fewer obligations, longer mornings. It felt strange, too quiet, too empty. I worried that slowing down meant fading away. Then, one afternoon, I sat alone with nothing planned. No music, no news, just the sound of the clock and my own breathing. Something unexpected happened. Instead of feeling bored or anxious, I felt relief, like my mind had been carrying a heavy load for decades and finally set it down. Around that time, I began reading about Japanese culture, especially how elders live. What struck me most wasn't their routines or philosophies, it was their comfort with quiet. Silence wasn't awkward, it wasn't something to escape, it was a place to rest. In Japan, ma is everywhere. In architecture, where empty space is just as important as walls. In conversations, where pauses aren't rushed. In daily life, where doing nothing isn't considered wasted time. Silence is treated with respect, as something meaningful, not lacking. I realized how different that was from how many of us in the West were taught to live. We're praised for staying busy, staying young, staying relevant. Silence feels like falling behind. Aging feels like losing ground. But watching how Japanese elders age changed something in me. They don't fight time, they walk alongside it. They allow life to soften instead of hardening against it. As I got older, I noticed something important. Silence started to feel kinder. It didn't judge me. It didn't ask me to prove anything. It simply allowed me to be who I was that day, tired, reflective, grateful, or unsure. There's a deep peace in that. Many of us between 40 and 70 carry invisible weight. Years of responsibilities, decisions, losses, and quiet disappointments. We've spent decades listening to the world tell us what to do, who to be, and how fast to move. No wonder silence feels unfamiliar. We were never taught how to sit with it. But here's what I've learned, slowly and honestly. Silence is not emptiness, it's space, and space is where healing begins. When you allow silence into your life, even in small moments, something shifts. Your thoughts settle, your body relaxes, you start to hear yourself again. Not the version shaped by noise and pressure, but the quieter truth underneath. Japanese elders understand this intuitively. They take time to sit, to observe, to exist without explanation. They don't measure their worth by output, they measure it by presence. You don't need to move across the world to learn this. You can practice Ma right where you are. It might be a quiet morning with your coffee before the day begins, a walk without headphones, a pause before responding instead of rushing to fill the silence, a few minutes sitting by a window doing nothing at all. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. That's normal. Silence reveals what noise has been covering, but if you stay with it, gently, patiently, it becomes a refuge. For those of us aging in a fast world, silence is not a sign of decline, it's a sign of wisdom. It means you've lived enough to know you don't need constant stimulation to feel alive. As I've grown older, I've stopped fearing quiet evenings and slow days. I've learned that peace doesn't come from chasing happiness or excitement. It comes from acceptance of time, of change, of who you are right now. Silence teaches you that you are enough without performing, enough without explaining, enough without hurrying. If you're listening to this and feeling worn down by the speed of modern life, let me offer you this thought. You don't need to fill every gap anymore. Some spaces are meant to stay open. Let silence sit beside you. Let it breathe with you. In that quiet space, that gentle Ma, you may rediscover something you didn't know you were missing, a sense of peace that doesn't ask for anything in return. As we grow older, the world doesn't slow down, but we can. There comes a moment in life when you realize the noise never really stops. The phones keep buzzing, the news keeps spinning, the world keeps asking for more, faster answers, quicker reactions, constant attention. And yet, somewhere along the way, your heart begins to ask a different question. Is this pace still meant for me? I say this as someone who has lived through many seasons. I've chased deadlines, raised a family, worried about money, and tried to stay relevant in a world that rewards speed. For a long time, I thought slowing down meant giving up. I thought rest was something you earned only after everything else was finished. But life taught me otherwise. As the years pass, silence becomes a companion, not a punishment. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You notice how loud your own thoughts are. You feel the absence of distractions. But if you stay with it, silence starts to soften you. It invites you back into your own life. In quiet moments, you begin to notice small things again. Steam rising from a cup of tea on a cold morning, birds greeting the dawn without hurry, the steady rhythm of your own breathing. These moments don't ask anything from you. They simply exist, and somehow they remind you that you still do too. I remember sitting on my porch one evening, doing nothing in particular, no phone in my hand, no plan for the next hour, just watching the light fade. That's when it hit me. Happiness had always felt like something to chase, something just ahead of me, but peace was already there, waiting for me to stop running. Many of us were taught to measure life by achievements, promotions, milestones, productivity. Even retirement can feel like another thing to do right. But the truth is, the later chapters of life aren't about proving anything, they're about allowing. Allowing yourself to rest without guilt, allowing your days to be simpler, allowing relationships to deepen instead of multiply, allowing your body to move slower without shame. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When you stop chasing happiness, something unexpected happens. You don't lose joy, you gain clarity. You begin to understand that happiness is fleeting by nature. It rises and falls like the weather. Peace, on the other hand, is something you cultivate. It grows quietly when you choose less noise, fewer expectations, and more presence. I've learned that peace comes from acceptance, accepting that time changes us, accepting that we don't need to stay young to stay alive, accepting that meaning doesn't come from constant excitement, but from steady, honest living. If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, feeling tired in a way that sleep doesn't quite fix, I want you to hear this. You're not broken. You're waking up. Your soul may simply be asking for a gentler rhythm. Start small. Sit in silence for a few minutes each day. Drink your coffee without scrolling. Take a walk without a destination. Let yourself be present in moments that don't produce anything except calm. The world may never slow down, but you can. And when you do, life begins to feel less like something you're chasing and more like something you're finally living. You don't need to hurry anymore. You're allowed to choose peace. If you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed, I won't tell you to change your life. Just try this. Sit somewhere quiet. No phone, no goals. Let the silence be uncomfortable at first. Stay, because beneath that discomfort is clarity. I want to speak to you today not as an expert, not as a teacher, but as someone who has lived long enough to understand how heavy life can quietly become. I'm someone who spent years doing what I was supposed to do, working hard, providing, staying busy, staying responsible. From the outside, my life looked stable. From the inside, it often felt like I was running on empty. There was a time when I thought feeling tired was just part of being an adult, that stress was the price of success, that a restless mind meant I was still relevant, still useful. So I kept going. I filled my days, my calendar, my head, and without realizing it, I stopped listening to myself. It wasn't a breakdown that woke me up. It was something much quieter. One evening, after another long day that didn't feel any different from the last, I sat alone in a quiet room. No television, no music, just the sound of the clock on the wall. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable. My mind raced. I thought about everything I hadn't done yet, everything I might lose, everything I was afraid of slowing down to face. But I stayed. And after a while, something softened. The noise in my head didn't disappear, but it lost its grip. For the first time in a long time, I felt present. Not productive, not impressive, just present. That moment taught me something I wish I had learned earlier. We don't burn out because we work too hard. We burn out because we never stop long enough to feel. Many of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond carry a quiet exhaustion. We've raised families, we've met responsibilities. Some of us are retired, some still working, some unsure what comes next. And yet the pace of the modern world keeps pushing us to move faster, think quicker, stay connected, stay young. But peace doesn't live at that speed. I've learned that clarity doesn't come from answers. It comes from space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to sit with discomfort without trying to fix it immediately. When we finally allow silence into our lives, we begin to hear what really matters. The truth is, life was never meant to be constantly optimized. It was meant to be lived, slowly, imperfectly, honestly. You don't need a dramatic change. You don't need to move to the countryside or give everything up. You don't need to become someone new. What you need, most of all, is permission to pause. When you sit quietly, without distraction, the mind will resist at first. That's normal. We've trained ourselves to avoid stillness. But if you stay, beneath that resistance, you'll find something steady, a deeper sense of yourself, a reminder that you are more than your schedule, your past mistakes, or your next obligation. As we age, the goal isn't to keep up with the world, it's to stay in touch with ourselves, to learn how to age with grace, not by denying time, but by respecting it, by understanding that peace is not something you achieve, it's something you practice. If you're feeling overwhelmed today, let this be enough. Sit quietly, breathe slowly, let the moment be what it is. You don't have to rush anymore. Life is not asking you to prove anything. It's simply asking you to be here. And that, I've learned, is where clarity begins. Silence isn't the absence of life. It's where life finally feels honest. I didn't understand that when I was younger. Silence used to make me uncomfortable. If the room was quiet, I'd reach for the television, the phone, anything to fill the space. Back then, I thought a full life meant constant noise, conversations, schedules, responsibilities stacked one after another. I thought staying busy meant staying alive. But years have a way of teaching you differently. As I've grown older, I've noticed how tired the noise made me. Not just the sounds around me, but the noise inside my own head. Worries about the future, regrets about the past, the quiet pressure to always be doing more. It wasn't until I slowed down that I realized how much of myself I had been drowning out. I remember learning about how silence is treated in Japan, especially among elders. Silence isn't awkward there, it's respected. It's shared. It's seen as a sign of understanding, not emptiness. Older people sit together without speaking, and no one feels the need to explain or perform. The quiet itself becomes meaningful. I started practicing that in my own small way, sitting with a cup of tea, walking without headphones, letting a moment pass without trying to improve it. And something unexpected happened. My thoughts softened, my body relaxed, life felt more honest. If you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, and the modern world feels overwhelming, maybe silence isn't what you're missing, maybe it's what you've been avoiding. You don't need to escape your life, you just need space to hear it. And maybe that's something we can all relearn. If this moment of quiet meant something to you, consider subscribing to Simple Earth Studio. We're not here to rush you. We're here to sit with you.